Get this party started. Um, Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday. Leadership Nuggets Tuesday cup of coffee with Mary May. And I want to welcome you to the conversation this morning. We are a little on a different time because of technical difficulties. However, we are here and we're going to drop some nuggets and some stuff to help you on this executive Leadership Blueprint Tuesday. Because that's what it is when we have our special guests join us in the conversation for leadership nuggets, pouring into your cup, ensuring that you have what it takes so that not only if you are a business owner, that you're able to run and manage your business effectively, but if you are also a leader, that you can also have your toolkit kind of fueled and formed in the best way. And so, our guest, resident second Tuesday, Executive Leadership Blueprint Tuesday, is Miss Riahna Edwards. Good morning, Miss Riahna.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing.
Awesome, awesome. So would you like to tell people about yourself?
Yes, thank you guys for joining us today and bearing with us during the technical difficulties. Those who are not aware who I am, my name is Riahna Edwards, aka Official Ria. I am an online business manager and virtual COO. So I help women, CEOs, and owners reduce their expenses, increase their margins, and 10x their revenue, implementing systems, processes, workflows, SOPs, things that the tools that they need so they can start working on their business and stop working in their business. And we are here on this great Tuesday to help elevate your position as an executive in your leadership role.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's our topic for today. She just kind of flowed right on into it. Like that's our topic for today is how to elevate your executive position as a business owner and or leader, as an executive in the space that you navigate in. And so your engagement and feedback questions are welcome. Should you choose to find value in what we're saying and you want to share, please do that. If you also um, if you also find that you're here on a replay, if you share some love in the comments, we'll come back and we'll engage with you as well. So feel free to jump in wherever you find fit, where you find that you fit the best. And so, as it's been shared, our topic for today is how do you elevate your executive position as a business owner? And we have some things that we have kind of outlined as far as what it is that we want to talk about. But what I want to share first, when you think about how you envisioning yourself being elevated and you being in the executive position, this one quote comes to me and seems to kind of fit us nicely. And it's by Bell Hooks, and it's like what we can't imagine cannot come into being. So if you can't have the forethought and the vision that kind of helps you see yourself in a space or see yourself where it is that you should or would like to grow into, have you clearly imagined it and have you committed it so that it can be executed as you being? So if you can't imagine it and it's really blurry, then one of our support services that we provide, one or both, can actually support you in being able to not only imagine but live in the life that you desire in and on your terms. So I just want to share that quote as a guiding quote to kind of guide our conversation and to guide your energy as you receive what it is that we share for today. And so I know the first thing that we wanted to kind of talk about is the business awareness, shifting climate, and kind of managing pivots, planning and positioning. You want to
So,
jump in?
yeah, when we as a business owner and executive in leadership roles, the part that we have to understand that we can't be in denial about is that there are awareness and red flags that we have to be aware. And when I say aware, it's like some things are just out of your control, but understanding that doing the best in your power to perform your role to the best capability as you can, and ensuring that not only your clients, your customers are always having great experiences, great service, but your role is leaving a legacy. You're leaving marks of a good, positive, impactful, and significant indicator with not only your external constituents, but also your internal constituents. So, we know that, well, I guess if you don't know, this is an awareness piece of a red flag is that external constituents it could be competitors proposing a buyout agreement. So you have a successful business. Say you actually, your business been so successful the past several years or the past couple years, you almost was like a success overnight. And your competitors see that and they want to buy you out so they can now take over your business success technically and the assets that you guys have, buy you guys out, and then either you start over or you do something else with your life, wherever that is. But
Mhm.
and understanding that someone is it's like a dog eat dog world out here in the business world. It's very survival of the fittest. So understanding that you can still be doing the best thing for you, for your business, for your team, for your family. But there's always someone looking to take out the other person or the other company, the other organization, and
Mhm.
also internal constituents. The top team leaders working with retained clients. Now, this goes into hand in hand if you may or may not have contracts with your team, whether they're contractors or they actually are employees, having a clause that pretty much prevents your team, your staff from working with your clients, whether that is indefinitely or while working under your while they're getting paid from you. Let's just keep it simple, right? Understanding that everyone is replaceable. So even if these external and internal constituents, these events happen, your role also is replaceable as well. You're not really secure and protected if your operational foundation and your moral compass is not in alignment. We have oh shoot, I do. Sorry, my little halter. But I guess recently or in the past, I'm not sure the exact time frame, but it was recently where Elon actually did a merger acquisition acquiring Twitter, and then later fired the C-suite executives, decision makers. He had his own reasoning, but if you want to wrap it up, the storyline,
Mhm.
them feeling entitled to their role with the company,
Mhm.
going back to where your role is replaceable. Everyone's replaceable. It doesn't matter where you fall in the organizational chart.
Mhm.
Everyone's role is replaceable
Mhm.
unless you take the time to secure and protect your business, your foundation, and you hold in on your moral compass. You want to know that, or you want to exude these certain values, these ethics, these morals that you stand for,
Mhm.
and exuding that. Um, so when these challenges
Mhm.
come to life,
Mhm.
you have a blueprint in place. Yeah, that was a mouthful, but I
It
hope you
was.
guys are with me.
I mean, and when you think about the blueprint, it's like sometimes in the old way of thinking. I know I'm always talking about the old way of thinking and shifting into that new way of thinking. That the old way of thinking, you may have thought that you're in higher management and your job is actually secure. You're going to retire at XYZ age, or you're going to accomplish certain things, and then that's when you plan to move. But are you prepared for the shift in climate where things are being acquired, like this Elon Musk situation, and those CEOs and people who were in the higher management had to make a quick pivot with their lives, with their career, with everything. I'm sure that they'll land fine, but I'm also sure that with landing fine, to get to the process of being okay, there's going to be a disruption
Mm,
for them professionally, for their anxiety, for how they receive and understand, especially when you define yourself through your career and through your title and through everything that you have built up, and you don't see yourself as a separate individual from all that you have acquired, that pivot is going to sting. And so, having a blueprint, personal, professional, intentions, where it is that you want to level up, always keeps you ready and in position so that you can scale up however it is that you are going to scale up. So, just always being aware of like what that truly looks like and how it is that you're going to navigate, understanding what is it that you may need to purge, or what it is it that you may need to understand and understand and grow into as you lean into different things. um
And understand that growth requires change, growth requires challenges, growth requires uncomfortable conversations. You can't be a successful business without any types of, let's say, bumps in the road.
right,
I mean, you can have a good 10-year without any issues,
right.
having a great foundation, but it will never be perfect.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really survival of the fittest, especially if you really are that successful or that is your intended goal.
Hmm. Hmm. And when I think about that, I think about, okay, so in today's climate of workspace, as we're talking about this, and I didn't think about this when we were preparing, but if the age group is different, it sounds like the same type of pivot or understanding when you're leaning into the growth of it when computers became a dominant factor in the workplace, and computers with that being a way that you facilitate and communicate and so forth like that. I'm not saying that I'm that old. However, what I am saying is that I remember the pivot and the shifts that individuals had to make personally in that internal conversation to embrace all that the computer is going to do, or how it is that you needed to navigate. So that was a tool that was being introduced into the workspace at that particular time. The tool now in the 2022 version of what that would look like is that the way that you look at your job, the way that you look at your role as a leader, as an executive, is in a sense is stable, but it's also insecure, because you have to actually continue to work and elevate on how it is that you want to level up, how you want to pivot and be able to grow into different situations, with leaning in and knowing your value and knowing your skill set that is not wedded to where your address of your professional life is today, is wedded to how you navigate yourself and see yourself imagining into the future of how it is that you can be unattached to anybody. And I'm not suggesting that you leave your organization, but suggesting that you have the honest inventory with yourself to realize that the skill set that you have can be a viable tool today. But if the mission of the business changes, then also does your role change. And so you have to look at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm still in the thought. You continue.
Okay. So then it goes to how you again reset your day, how you look at your wins for the day, how you set your success meter, overall, um, how you actually engage in what is it that you need to purge. What is your daily purge?
Sometimes when it comes to um, not knowing what we need to cleanse from our day to day, it's like we're caught in this rat race
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that we may or may not have intended to create. Even if you are an employee at this level or you have your own business, you could still have a rat race type of routine
Mm-hmm.
within your business because you're doing the same thing, but there is no development. There's no elevation. There's no progression. It's pretty much, you know,
Even kill.
even, and that's not, again, there's no growth in there. We need elevation. We need to be, gradually increasing over time, but we don't know that until we take the time to have
Honest inventory.
Yes, it's also introspection of ourselves and our environments of our day-to-day lives. I know I've seen like a recent interview. I'm from New York. I don't know if you guys know that, but yes, Mr. Fat Joe himself, he had said how,
Shout out to New York.
yes, he had said how when he was heavy in the game, rapping, and he was very successful at this time, he had about 50 people, his entourage, that was on a plane or something like that. And then it dawned on him how he was the only person who had money out of these 50 people. So he decided to say, I don't have no money to these 50 people, right? This was a test of loyalty, trust, honesty, all the values he was looking for that
Mm-hmm.
he needed to be surrounded around to see if it was in alignment with the entourage he was at that time surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
And those people who I guess made an issue, made a fuss, didn't have weren't very solution oriented,
Mm-hmm.
they were removed from that circle.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I don't know who he is personally, but I'm assuming over time those people eventually just were not part of that circle. His circle got more close knit, and
Mm-hmm.
there was more quality people included within his day to day lives. There was
Mm-hmm.
also another artist who mentioned the same thing, where if they feel stagnant, I don't know if I want to mention. I don't know what the audience here is, but it's NBA YoungBoy. I don't listen to him, but I did catch the interview, and he was saying something similar. How where he feels that if he feels stagnant in his career, his profession, he evaluates his circle every time
Mm-hmm.
because there is someone that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider yourself a 7 out of a 10, and you're constantly around six, fives, fours, you are literally the only person that's motivating the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Until you understand and take the time to have the inventory that Mary has said of what you need, you have to know what you need first, because you can't start evaluating what's going on if you don't know where you're trying to go.
Right.
So you understand, you have clarity on where you're trying to go, what resources you may need, what does that look like? What is that vision?
Mm-hmm.
Then you take the time to identify who you're around. Your day to day, your most influ- 5 to 7 most influential people they speak with on a day to day basis. That is your entourage, if you will. But if they are less than you, now someone could be less, but if the majority is that I don't know if everyone's good at math, but it ain't mathing, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
mathing. So we need to start finding our eights, our nines, our tens, where,
Or even our 12s and 15s. If
oh,
we're at
yes.
8, even our 12s and 15s, because if you're trying to level up and you're
Hmm.
doing this daily purge, if no one around you is doing what you see yourself in that forward thinking and how it is that you're imagining to come into being, like you don't know what you're striving for. You're just kind of just being stagnant in your day to day, doing the same thing every day and thinking that you're okay because you're sustaining. But are you living? Are you elevating? Are you pouring into your cup so that you can be not only a better influencer, executive, and leader, but if you're only staying around the people who are at the same level of you, then you're not elevating yourself. You have to be with the people who, like you said, to 10, 8 to 10. You gotta be with the 12 and 15s and even possibly the 20s if you can play in a game to make that type of investment.
It's all about playing chess, not checkers. Aligning yourself with the heavy hitters who are in a position of where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a better position, a role model, mentors. And sometimes they can be indirect mentors. You can find a mentor on YouTube, you can find a mentor on social media. Obviously, fact check their information, but
Mm-hmm.
if they are positively influencing you in your life, then that's a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I don't want to be long winded on that, but pretty much just if that's when, well, that's what you need to do as far as to cleanse, what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as understanding when That's a personal decision.
And we got to pay attention to those personal indicators, though,
Mm.
because the personal indicators will have you fatigued, it'll have you bored, it may have you taking some risks that you wouldn't normally take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're doing that on a consistent basis and wondering how did you get here, then you need to kind of sit back in silence and meditation and do some journaling and kind of reset what it is that's happening for you and how you see yourself moving up, so that you can say, okay, what is it that I need to purge? And sometimes that purge is a risk that's not necessarily comfortable, um, because we don't grow in we don't grow in being comfortable. So it's like, what risk are you open to understanding how it is that you're going to move forward? Or what risk are you comfortable in understanding you need to lean into, and that is going to take you, flip you upside down and kind of hold you at the ankles and shake you up down, because that purge is going to be the game changer for you to kind of understand what you need to understand in your leveling up experience.
I've learned that if it's like scary to do,
Mm-hmm.
you probably should do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes you have to walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Life is literally based on choices. It's choice A, choice B. I mean, there may be other choices, but it's usually 50-50. But, and that's usually how your future life your present will determine your future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't satisfied with your present day to day, that's a major indicator that it's time to cleanse
Mm-hmm.
or purge from what is holding you back
Mm-hmm.
from elevating, transforming, progress, just evolving into a better, iconic, successful figure. What
Mm-hmm.
do you want your legacy to be?
Mm-hmm. And looking at that, like, yes, doing it scared, doing it not knowing what the outcome, because sometimes we want to know the outcome, and wanting to know the outcome is keeping you limited. So yes, you want to have an idea of what the outcome is, but you're not going to know specifically step by step what that outcome can be, because by knowing that, you're going to stay stagnant and not being effectively standing in the grace of how it is that you need to purge so that you can level up and maintain all aspects of who you are with integrity, but then the business and the executive role that you hold.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so once you manage this whole purge, you have to look at how you value time and what is your mindset around time. Now, this is very kind of game changing right now, because we're in the week where time has changed as far as on the clock,
Hmm.
and
Thank the
people are
Lord.
and people have both positive and indifferent feelings around it being pitch dark at 5 o'clock and pitch dark at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 in the morning, depending on which part of the spectrum of the clock time that they look at. But when you think about how you value time and what your relationship is to it, you have to also look at your perspective. So if you are a business owner, you have to make that shift that you are no longer a W 2. And a W 2 individual is
You could, for tax purposes, you can be paid as a W 2, but just follow Mary's as far as mindset and being employee versus self employed business owner. Kim, what's his name? Kiyosaki.
right,
Yes.
right.
Those.
Yes, I'm going straight mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going straight mindset in the sense of when you look at the time, we waste time every single day. So you're not running out of time, but we waste time. So if you think about probably the first or second session where we had with Riahna joining us, and probably other conversations where we talk about the effectiveness of a business day as an executive or even as a leader, really only takes 4 hours. You could
Mm-hmm.
do whatever your task assignment is effectively for 4 hours of that 8 hours. The 8 hour workday came into place back in the day beginning of time from a factory blue collar worker aspect, and it was good to be have that 8 hours and you be able to get overtime and all of those different things. But when you value the time that you have and say you have a task and 4 hours is your moments of productivity, you have so many other hours of that day, of that week, that you could strategize. So sometimes as a W-2, you may steal time. You'd be like, okay, well, I know I only have this amount of time for a lunch break, but I'm going to run and go get my eyes checked, or go run and go to the store, get stuff for my kids for the soccer game later on in the evening, whatever. You are stealing time. You're gaining time because you're thinking it's helping you in that afternoon of your running around, which has some level of truth to it. However, that also amount of time that you did to do that other errand is time that you could have put a task towards your leveling up, empowering of your voice. And so how you look at time is how you strategize and really effectively look at how is your perspective of sustaining your seat at the table, but not only sustaining your seat at the table, how are you using the time that you have? Because we always say we don't have enough time, but if you really took honest inventory on if you took honest inventory on looking at your day from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep, and you just wrote down everything that you did, the time that it took, and then you look at it at the end of the day, you can see where there's gaps of time that you could have utilized to pour into your cup, to pour into how you can lean into yourself as a leader to elevate yourself differently. But when you don't have that value of time and you're always feeling like you're chasing, one, you could be putting too many things on the plate, but then the other part is just could be your relationship to time and not understanding that there's time for everything that you are strategically intentionally leaning into, but you really have to have a strategy for you to boss up and level up accordingly.
And those who have missed our segment from last month, I did highlight the value of time calculator. So
You
please
did.
watch that recap, so you can have better insight on how you can actually break down the value of your time and calculate how much you are wasting on non-income producing activities. As executives, we have to have the faith and ambition to really be perseverant, and resilient to accomplishing our goals personally and professionally. And we have to be committed and disciplined to do so.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of willpower to really just continue to fight the beast and move forward with entrepreneurship and business ownership. And it
And
takes you
leadership.
and leadership, yes. And you have
Mm-hmm.
to there's only 24 hours in a day. It don't matter how successful you are.
Mm-hmm.
We only gain the hour now during the little daylight savings time thing, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, it's still 24 hours, however you calculate it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to
And
be
you
very
have to rest and
intentional.
restore. Like you
Yes.
need however many hours it needs for you for to rest and restore to stay hydrated. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So
No, you're
like
fine.
out of that 24, like you have eight. You have 8 hours. That if you know 4 hours is of your productivity, then what can you do to really lean into your growth overall with the other four? Or
Be
if it's another
intentional.
three, you got to be very, very intentional, got to be very, very strategic. And being able to do that um, is a process for you to be consistent and disciplined with.
Hmm. And I guess as we transition, it's identifying what exact leadership ingredients are missing from you as a professional, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe the qualities that are necessary for your business operations. Like what is needed. Maybe the team member needs to exude these qualities. Um, did you want to touch on that first?
You
Okay,
got it.
yes. When it comes to understanding our strengths and our strengths as a professional, what are we good at? Are we good at talking to people? Are we good at sales? But maybe we're not good at organization.
Mm-hmm.
keeping up with deadlines and everything like that. But we could talk to a wall and we could sell them $1 million. We could probably close $1 million, right? Talk to a wall.
Right.
But when it comes to ensuring the projects are on time and everything like that, maybe that's not you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, understanding this is the inventory. These are my strengths. This is my weakness.
Mm-hmm.
This weakness is an opportunity. So now I can identify who I need and who is missing for my business.
Mm-hmm.
So now my business is more holistic and well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we start to identify which team players are necessary for our business to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And always take, well, depending on where your business is and time frame and finances, you should always be evaluating your team. As we mentioned before, evaluating your circle. So not that's not only professionally, but that's I mean personally, but that's also professionally.
Mm-hmm. With the
Eva-
purge.
right, with the purge and the and cleansing. We don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say purge probably for the employees and stuff, but
Right,
let's
right, right. But if
say
they're ready for the pivot, the purge, they might need to be ready for being a part of that purge, because
yes.
then they're leaning into how they need to level up and sustain their positioning, but then sustaining their voice at the table or voice in the field, because really
Hmm.
that table could be changed and they still have to sustain themselves no matter what the address is that they're facilitating their gift and their lane of genius.
Yes. And as we mentioned at the very beginning, everyone is replaceable. So you're doing the best that you can with the qualities that you exude. You're asking the questions, you're taking initiative, um, you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. And
Mhm.
even if this purge means that you would have been removed from this season, this chapter has ended, that's not always a bad thing. It just says this chapter has closed so you can begin a new opportunity.
Mhm.
So, as the leader and the executive in the position making the decisions, taking the inventory of the strengths and opportunities you have currently standing, and what are those threats, what are those weaknesses, and how can we improve? How can we identify what resources we need to elevate ourselves as a professional so we can grow? Professional development is always a necessary tool to invest in, partake in,
Mhm.
but also, where do I want my business to be? Where do I want it to go?
Mhm.
And who do I need to get it there?
Mhm.
And we don't need to have multiple people with the same type of background. We want to have a diverse pool. We want to be inclusive with various I'm not get so particular, but we're gonna have various backgrounds where everyone's voice is I wouldn't say heard, but it's also included with the operations, because this goes making sure that your values are in alignment, your moral compass, your foundation. These are all the ingredients. I can't identify what is missing particularly for you until I take the time to actually sit with you, but the inventory of your strengths, your opportunities, so you can have clarity on the threats and the weaknesses, how you can improve on those, and determine a strategic approach to accomplishing your goals.
Mhm. And so like when you look at like those leadership ingredients, like it becomes, what is your secret sauce?
Mhm.
What is your unique footprint that you offer to any conversation that you can be a gift to? But then when you do that honest inventory and understand what what it is that you need to surround yourself with a committed team or with inclusive resources, then you become clearer on what your executive leadership blueprint needs to be inclusive of, because not only are you building skills, are you building time rich experiences, you're delegating, you're understanding how what you can do in your own capacity, what you could do with that additional 4 hours, or if you have 3 hours in the evening or in the morning, however it is that you set up your day for that free time. You're always pouring into what your secret sauce is and building your commitment to how it is that you're going to level up. And again, sustaining a seat at the table is not the breaking the glass ceiling just so you could be at that place. Because as we also shared earlier, sometimes a merger and an acquisition can occur, and you're so focused on this particular table, this particular role, this particular address, that you lose sight of who you are as an individual, who you are as an executive and a leader, and how you can pivot from one situation to the next. The bruise, it may hurt, it may shift your ability to do what you need to do, but there's a process for that. There's a process to grieve where you have invested, but then to not stay stuck in that. And so the gift of having the right strategy helps you connect the dots and to not get stuck in the things that you can't change, but creating that whole life pattern, that whole professional pattern, that whole piece of the puzzle that's going to help you not stay locked and loaded in situations that really don't serve you well. Because sometimes when we look at sustaining a seat at the table, we're only thinking like laser focus into one particular opportunity when there's multiple things happening all around us.
Gotta check your blind spots.
You gotta check those blind spots, which was last month's conversation.
Hmm. Please
Last
feel free to recap on our segments. They're actually pretty good. They
yeah,
may be long, but there's always a wealth of knowledge shared there.
right, right. And so, I'll be interested as the people who are joining in. Isley, I want to say good morning to you. The people who are joining in, if you have any questions or thoughts that you would like to drop, you could drop them at this time before we wind down and wrap up. Um, Also, if you found this information helpful and you choose to share, please feel free to share this video. And if you are catching us on a replay, please let us know you with hashtag replay and we'll come back and share some love with you as well. Um, so have we filled up their secret sauce of their leadership ingredients? Like we did that, right?
I feel like we did. They really have to respond and say yes or no, but I feel like we did. We definitely went over. Ooh, my definitely.
There you went, definitely.
We certainly did. We went over the external constituents, the internal constituents, and how everyone is replaceable,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding where these elements may or may not, or events may or may not come from. It's all about having being ready for the blind spots, being
Mm-hmm.
ready for the unplanned. But remember, nothing is perfect
Right.
because you can only plan but so much. Your foundation can be as stable and secure and protected as possible, but at the end of the day, you still have to make a choice and decision usually to proceed with
Mm-hmm.
challenges.
Mm-hmm.
We can't prevent challenges now.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
may be able to delay them, but we can't prevent them. They're
Or
going to
we
happen.
can prepare to learn from them as opposed to fear
Yeah.
and running from them.
Always learn. You have to learn from them. Maybe it may take you a while to learn from them in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but once you get to your space,
Mm-hmm.
evaluate
Mm-hmm.
and review what happened, how you can probably avoid this later, um, and just make better choice and decisions for you as a professional, you personally, individually, and for your business
Mm-hmm.
success. So yes, I do feel like we did cover all the ingredients necessary for the executive and the business owner to elevate to their position.
Okay.
Um, and I do believe we empowered them this morning,
Okay.
despite our technical difficulties.
Right. I just want to add one last thing before we actually, despite our technical difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
you just mentioned perfection. So it made me think about the perfection paralysis in regards to knowing the outcome, which we did speak about, just a moment ago. But when you think about perfection paralysis, people usually don't make that 2 millimeter shift or that change that would help them elevate because they're so stuck on knowing the outcome or making sure that they're perfect or making sure that they get everything exactly right. So, what perfection paralysis helps you, you simply can't start the project because you're so concerned that you won't get it exactly right. But the thing is that you end up learning things that you didn't prepare for when you start and try something, because then there's a strategy and a plan that needs to be put in place such that you can navigate life differently. So then that perfection paralysis in this context, because you may have heard me mention it over the past couple or recent weeks, it gives you two options in your mind. When you are living for other people and it's like you want to start and prove that you're not perfect, or the second one is don't start at all. Don't start at all and stay stuck where you are, not being prepared for the pivots that you should be prepared for, your
Mm.
business awareness, and the leadership ingredients that's going to help you navigate how it is that you level up and how you manage keeping awareness and balance in your role as an executive and as a leader in business. So just be mindful. Don't hold yourself hostage of things you can't control, but always be willing to lean in and understand how there's resources out here that can help you. So if you're an executive and you need an online business owner, business manager, Riahna is your lady. Like she can get all your systems snatched and pulled together. If you find that you're having conversations with yourself, divorcing yourself, hating on yourself, beating yourself up individually, or feeling that you don't have the value because you feel overlooked and invisible, then I would have the blueprint for you that will help you understand and recognize how you can lean in and move forward and not stay stuck on those things that are not serving you well. So, however it is that you choose to level up and lean into your growth, we thank you for joining us this Tuesday for your cup of coffee and tea, leadership nuggets with myself, Mary May, and our guest, Miss Riahna Edwards. So, if you are looking for having that breakthrough chat and understanding how it is that you stand in your space of leadership, for myself, you can go to the link that's posted at go1tub.com/ Mary May. We also have some other opportunities for you that we will be posting and sharing with you about a summit that's coming up in these upcoming weeks that's going to help you boss up as an executive.
I
Did you?
also, my book actually, since our last segment, my first book, Ate Too Many Plates, I'm mixing them all together, but Too Many Plates, CYA, 8 Reasons Why Successful Businesses Never Scale to 7 Figures, has been released. Um, it actually was published before my birthday, but the release for you to buy it was on my birthday, October 27th, where it is available. And I am having a conference on November the 20th. So that is in 2 weeks, the upcoming Sunday. It is still free for a limited period of time. And if you show up live, you will actually be able to receive a travel voucher for 3 days. Um, 3 days and 2 nights stay at a hotel of your choice with 50 destinations. Terms and conditions do apply, but that's only if you actually show up. It will still be free, but it's only for a limited time. And then general admission does go up. But VIP actually will receive a copy of the book as well as a Q&A session and an additional perk that I will not be disclosing because you actually have to show up. You have to show up to get the benefits. You can't
Show up
just,
to level up.
yeah, show up to level up. And there will be some additional giveaways and raffles at the conference. It is virtual, so don't feel like, oh, I'm in Texas, I can't go. No, no, no. I don't want to hear that. If you are available Sunday, November 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please register. I don't know where the link is. I don't even know how to share it in here, but it is 8 to the number 8, 2 mini plates, 1120.eventbrite.com, where you can register. And yes, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at official X8 on all social media platforms. And that is all I have for this evening. This morning. This morning.
This morning. So you have experienced another nugget drop in leadership building, executive leadership blueprint Tuesday with Mary May and Riahna Edwards. And we will see you in December just before our summit. So stay tuned to our social media handles to learn more about what that summit is and how you can jump in. Oh, she said, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Yes. And if you actually are willing and are interested in being a speaker at the summit, please message us immediately. We do have limited spots um, based on our allotted time. But if we have a lot of interest, then we're willing to work with you. But if you are interested, please message us as soon as possible so we can start fine tuning our agenda and just expanding the resources. So if you have some insight, some knowledge around leadership, executive,
Mhm.
maybe you can help the leadership get more money. I don't know. Whatever your source is, if you want to partake in our summit, and you are executive leadership, killing it in the business and industry, just let us know and we'll share the details and how you could proceed.
And even if you have a unique footprint of your role
Hmm.
as a leader on a topic that you feel is invisible, please bring that to us as well. So feel free to reach out to either one of us to learn more, and we'll get you snatched and ready to go.
Yes.
So until then, you will see me next Tuesday, and you'll see Rihanna on her social platforms, but you'll see her the second week in December. So in the meanwhile, you all stay safe, stay well. Thank you for joining us live, even with our technical difficulties that we had earlier. And thank you for coming back on the replay. So in the meanwhile, take care and have a wonderful and successful day and week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.